This lesson is 5.8, solving equations by multiplying fractions. Make sure you have your guided notes out and you put the date on them. Our objective is we will solve equations by multiplying by the reciprocal. So this lesson is pretty straightforward. We're just going to be dealing with the reciprocals of fractions. So if we have an equation like this, 5s equals 1/3. So before, if we had had an equation 5x equals 15, we would have had to divide by 5 to undo multiplication. X would equal 3. Now we have a similar situation, we just have a fraction on the other side. So when we divide by 5, remember that dividing by 5 is actually the same as multiplying by 1/5. So we always use the reciprocal. Make sure you have it in the correct order. The 1/3 has to be first. Therefore, when you change it to multiplication, 1/3 times 1/5. Multiplying by 1/5 would get rid of the 5 that's by the s. So our final answer, 1/15. Now in this example, we have two fractions. So we're going to think the same thing. Divide by 4/5, but really that's the same as multiplying times 5/4. So at this point, I want you to be comfortable with just going straight to multiplying by the reciprocal. And notice, before we go any further, if we have 5/4 4/5 m, everything cancels. 4 cancels with 4, 5 cancels with 5. That accomplishes our goal of getting the m alone. So now let's go back to our problem. Now we have canceled out what's by the variable, and we need to solve for m. Can we cancel diagonally? Yes. 10 divided by 5 is 2. 5 divided by 5 is 1. 9 and 4 don't cancel. 9 times 1 is 9. 2 times 4 is 8. And you can leave it as an improper fraction. Here's an example where we have negative fractions. So remember, if there's one negative fraction, the product will be negative. If there's two negative fractions, the product will be positive. So we know in this case our final answer will be positive. But let's go ahead and start this problem. So we're going to follow the same process as before. We have to get rid of what's by the variable. Dividing to undo multiplication, but really we know to undo a fraction, we multiply by the reciprocal. And we will keep it negative because a negative times negative will get rid of a negative. So we're going to multiply by the reciprocal here. Keep it negative. Everything cancels. So we have b alone. Now we can do our work over here on the side. Negative and negative, answer is going to be positive. Let's look to cancel diagonally. 2 divided by 2. Whoops. Two divided by 2 is 1. 10 divided by 2 is 5. 3 and 13 don't cancel. Now here's where you have to decide. Is the negative sign going to go with the top number or go with the bottom number? I'm going to put it with the top number just so I don't forget it. -1 times -13 is positive 13. 3 times 5, 15. So b is positive 13/15. Honestly, the best thing to do is decide what your sign is before you finish the problem. We have one more example and then your exit pass, and that's when it comes to mixed numbers. So it's very simple. The only step that's different is mixed numbers need to be improper fractions or else we can't multiply by the reciprocal. 8 times 1 is 8. 8 plus 5, 13 over 8. Now we have it as a reciprocal, so we can multiply by the reciprocal. And that is going to get rid of what is by the variable. Now remember, 26 needs to be over 1 so that we can multiply. All of this cancels out. Now we have n by itself. Let's look to cancel diagonally. 26 divided by 13 is 2. 13 divided by 13 is 1. 2 times 8 is 16. 1 times 1 is 1. Our final answer is 16. Again, make sure you're paying attention to positives and negatives. In this case, we had all positives. Here's your exit pass right here. Try it out, and we'll talk about it tomorrow.